right, we are on, and we're going to record. Okay, welcome. So excited to host this today. We are going to be taking our life, our health, and our success to another level. And I am just privileged to have Dr. Arthur and Kellie on board with us here today. And we're going to be talking about some things that most people have not really heard a whole lot about, yet we know at some level is the truth. And we're going to talk about how it really is the truth. And that is about getting into our biology and understanding how cellular health, and I don't mean phones, I'm talking about the things that make us who we are, the trillions of little bits of who we are that make us who we are, and that there is a way, scientifically, we now know to duplicate ourselves in a healthier way, as opposed to what's been happening and we've been degrading and our cells. And I'm not the expert on this. However, I've studied and looked into these things, and I am definitely a fan and a client of what you guys have and what it is that you guys stand for. So what I'd love to start with is tell us a little bit about your background and like who you are and why we should be listening to you first off. And I do know you guys are brain health specialists and scientists in that regard. I've definitely loved what I've learned so far from you and have taken action in my health. So let's go ahead and start there.
Gosh, Alex, well, thank you so very much. So Kellie and I, by background, are actually physical therapists, and we've specialized in working with stroke and traumatic brain injury and other neurological disorders for, gosh, the last 20 plus years of our 25-year careers. We've really just always had a passion for helping people get better and improve. But along our journey, we recognized that there were components of what we were doing that were sort of limited by people's base level of health and wellness. And that to really tap into optimizing people's potential and recovery, we had to dive into, okay, how do we optimize even basic health so that people's bodies can function at that even higher level?
Absolutely. We recognize that, the information around the world that we are giving to our bodies, whether we're out and about and it's the environment, the light, the pollutions, whether it's the food we're taking in or the quality, the type of food we're taking in, whether it's our lifestyle of our community relationships or how stressful of a life that we live, all that plays an impact to what's happening at a cellular level that's going to overall show up one day as either positive health in the future or negative health in the future.
Wow. So this area, we're going to be talking about some fancy word called nutrigenomics, right? And like, what the heck is that? And biohacking, what are these things? And you just said some key things that I think we've got to put a real solid, big signpost on. And you're saying that what we're going to talk about is going to translate into people being a better version of themselves, like from a physiological standpoint. And that even if I basically do all the perfect eating food and all the perfect exercise and try and clean up my pollution system, that there may be some things I need to consider, that building blocks inside that have to be there for all of that to do its job even better for me.
Absolutely, Alex. In fact, what we've realized is that, yes, eating those good, healthy foods is important, but it's not everything that we thought it was, because our foods today don't have the nutritional value. They're not as nutrient dense as they were 20 and 30 years ago. Our soil is not as good. Many of the foods we're eating are now genetically modified, so they have other things going on, and those bits are getting into our bodies and preventing our bodies from functioning as well. And as Kellie was saying earlier, the pollutants, the toxins, the EMFs, everything's bombarding our cells and breaking down our cells and preventing them from functioning fully.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that is, if we look at our the world and the environment we live in today, and then we go back and we look at our parents, but then we go back even further and look at our grandparents and our grandparents' parents, the evolution of time with how they even went and got their food, right? And they weren't even driving cars. And so their life they lived, honestly, at a cellular level, was healthier than ours today. And it's, even though we have the technology today that they didn't have back then, our bodies are under attack today. That battle, what didn't exist back then, or at least the battle at the level of the intensity today that our bodies are fighting, didn't happen. And I think today we all recognize if we've seen an increased risk of whether it's chronic disease, autoimmune, just people not feeling overall vitality, wellness, health, like the best version of their self, like you talked about. Like, why is that? And some people just think, oh, it's just because you're aging, or, oh, you're a tired mom, or, oh, it's just because you're running a corporation, you're coming home and you've got kids, and that's just the way it's going to be. But we know through technology, that's not the case.
Wow, that's a big, big wake-up call that it's not just about, okay, I eat healthy foods, because those healthy foods don't have the density that you said of the nutrients that my body needs. And I know there's some outside causes. I mean, so before we get into the solution of what does somebody do, like, how did we get to this problem? Like what are some of the contributing factors and farming things that have happened, or the way that the environment, or I've heard about glyphosate, and I've heard a lot of other different things, and microbiome and all. You guys are the people. So tell us about how we got to this lack of density.
Yeah. So if we could share our screen for a moment here, Alex, and we'll pull up a few slides that will maybe help explain and clarify some of these things we're talking about.
All right, sweet.
All right.
So exactly as you were, literally, Alex kind of walked you guys right into the fire, meaning why are our bodies hijacked? Literally, we are being hijacked. And I know that seems kind of crazy, but really everything in our lifestyle, you have to think, is it providing a benefit, or is it taking away from what's going on inside of us? We could talk about from a physically standpoint, or emotionally, or biochemical standpoint. But honestly, if you think about in the morning when you wake up, what is your light environment? What is your air quality environment? How much EMFs do you have running through your household? Had you turn on off the Wi-Fi maybe during the night? What sort of sleep quality are you getting? Are you doing things that maybe are interrupting your quality of sleep? Because it's not really the hours of your sleep, but the quality of your sleep. That's what we're talking about, is there's this slow cascade of effects, whether it is pollutants or GMOs or toxins or benzenes or, all the things that are out there. I think in general, Arthur, would you agree that people today are more aware than ever?
Yeah, I think the awareness is way up of what's going on in the world, but most of us either don't know what to do about it, or we are very confused because it seems so complex, and there's so much information and misinformation out there that we don't even know where to begin.
That is so true. And when you talk about biohacking, Alex, that we're going to go into here, which really, you guys, the reason why, because people, just like you said, well, hey, I eat pretty well, I'm exercising well, maybe you're even really taking care of your sleep, and maybe you even have like a nice, meditation or a mindfulness practice. That's all extremely important, all the way down to a cellular level. But we have to take control of our own biology. Through those things, we can biohack ourselves. And biohacking is really just optimizing our genetic potential to 100% become the best version of yourself. I'm sure you guys want to be in your A game for you, for your family, your coworkers, your clients. But today, Arthur and I are going to talk about nutrigenomics and how using nutrigenomics, which we're going to go into, it's really the research of nutrients and natural compounds, how they affect our genes, and they're going to help us truly hack our biology, take back control of our biology. So again, trying to keep this, you guys, simple, because it can seem threatening. Now, biohacking, it is actually starting to become a little, quote, I'll say, popular out there. And it really just means you're cracking the code on your DNA. You're enabling your body to get back into balance and perform at an optimal level. And in turn, we're going to help improve our health and our lifespan. I think today people are hearing some things through biohacking, maybe even through a gentleman, Dave Asprey. He's been talking about biohacking for several years, and it's actually the term got coined and put in the dictionary in 2018. But people are kind of looking at a variety of things, maybe equipment or technology to do hacks to their body, or they're really looking beyond just food, what we're going to talk about today, which is the nutritional aspect that we call nutrigenomics. So again, just to reiterate, and you guys make this simple, even though they're really big words, it's really simple. It's the study of the effects of food and food and plant compounds on gene expression. Food alone, we thought for years, was the solution and was good enough. And maybe at one point in time for our bodies 100 years ago plus, it honestly
Maybe
was.
yeah.
They were under attack as what we are today. But the other thing that was a big misnomer that we all have lived in and really grew up in is the fact that whatever our parents, our grandparents like had as their health history, maybe they had a history of high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, stroke, cancer. I don't know what falls in your family, that honestly, we kind of thought maybe that would be our fate, to the point that when we go to the doctor's office, they ask us in our past medical history to write down who in your family had these diseases prior. But this is the fascinating research, and why honestly Arthur and I get so fired up to share with people is 90 to 96% of our genes, we now know through research, the expression of them can be altered. So we can upregulate or positively express the good genes, the ones we want in our body, and we can suppress or turn down or deregulate the genes that aren't serving us, that we don't want to be expressed. And we can do that by flipping switches. And we're going to talk about how to flip those switches of our genes through using this technology of nutrigenomics. Now, listen, don't take Arthur and I, okay?
Don't take our word for it. It's not us saying this.
I want you to take a look at this slide because it's been all over, whether you're talking about Fox News or Today Show. They're truly saying this whole new world of personalized health, it is not the latest quote fad. Honestly, it's really about how we can interact with our DNA. They're saying that nutrigenomics is going to be changing everything. Where we once thought that we were powerless, okay, we didn't really have control over because it was just our genes. We now have the ability through nutrition to affect those genes, and we're no longer mercy of just the DNA that we've honestly been dealt. So this is powerful. Now, even one step further, ABC News aired primetime. This was actually not even new, you guys. Back in 2005, they got a flurry that this company out there was kind of claiming in the nutrigenomics space that they could help upregulate these genes. And we're going to talk about in a minute what that means in this whole nutrigenomics space. But they were saying that they could honestly help people turn these genes on, which were affecting things in our body, like our inflammatory genes, like our antioxidant genes, our detoxification genes, our anti-fibrotic genes. And ABC News was like, there's no way. Well, they came in, they took a look at this company and the product, and honestly, national television, John Quinones, who you see here, this national reporter, he just took the products for 2 weeks, and it was shocking what his results were. 100% all positive, and his results were even greater than the claims. So the other thing that I think Arthur and I found so positive is being physical therapists and research and being in the medical field, we've always looked at peer-reviewed published research.
Yeah.
Well, when that aired, universities, prestigious universities, you see here on your screen, they saw that and they wanted to study what genomics was doing, this whole field of nutrigenomics. So they actually took a specific product that you're going to hear about in a moment, the NRF2 pathway, Protandim NRF2, and they studied it. And lo and behold, if you look up the research, whether you're looking at the University of Colorado, the American Heart Association, LSU, Ohio, National Institute of Health, Harvard, you name it, every single study revealed positive effects on upregulating our body with this new technology. So with that, you guys, I'm going to toss it over to Arthur for a little bit, just so you can start to understand in nutrigenomics, there's a couple key theories of aging. And the biggest one, which aired on that ABC News report, is about oxidative stress.
Yeah, so I just want to make this simple. So oxidative stress is truly that rusting that goes on in our cells. And we see this very graphically in the picture on the screen. You know, when you take an apple and you cut it in half and you leave it on the counter for 30 minutes, Alex, what happens to it?
Well, it starts to turn brown, you would hope, if it was oxidating it properly.
That's right. It
Yeah.
starts to turn brown, starts literally rusting, right? And that rusting, whether it's happening to the apple, whether it's happening to a piece of metal like a bicycle left outside, or inside our own bodies, that rusting happens every second of every day, and we can't combat it. We used to believe that, we would take our antioxidants, right? Our vitamin C or vitamin E, acai berries, blueberries, whatever. We thought that was enough, but we discovered it's not good enough, because your traditional antioxidants only fight off that free radical damage, that oxidative stress inside your body at a 1-to-1 ratio. The analogy would be, if your house is on fire, it'd be like trying to take a Dixie cup of water and put out the house fire. But when you can actually turn on your body's natural mechanisms by activating this particular pathway called the NRF2 pathway, your body can start producing its own antioxidant enzymes. And instead of fighting off those free radicals at a 1-to-1 ratio, your body starts eliminating 1 million free radicals per second, every second, for a 24-hour period of time, which is huge. It's like sticking a fire hose in every room of your burning house. So which way do you want to put out your fire? Dixie cup of water or a fire hose in every room, right? I think the fire hose is more effective.
Absolutely.
So what Kellie and I really blew us away as we started diving into, okay, so we know oxidative stress isn't very good for us, but what does it actually do? And here on this chart, you can see in a pictorial display all of the organ systems of the body and all of the disease processes associated with oxidative stress in each one of these organs. Now, I simply say to you, if you don't want to decrease your oxidative stress, then which one of these diseases are you willing to sign up for? Personally, I don't really want these, and I want to do everything I can to stack the odds in my favor of not getting them. So this isn't about treating or preventing or curing anything. It is truly about stacking the odds in your favor. If you can raise your body's natural defense systems and decrease your risk factors, why not? It's almost like having cellular insurance, right? Again, that's not for the phone. That's for the trillions in our bodies, right? So what becomes so complex, Alex, is that, there has been discussion for years about, good foods, organic foods, different supplements, but supplements just provide the building blocks for your body to perform a function, okay? We're now entering into a whole different field of activation. And what really attracted Kellie and I to the products we want to share with your audience today is the simplicity of the system. Because this is a very complicated area. And the fact that there are scientists who've gone out there and already done the research and put things together and created a product that actually is researched and patented and has been proven to work was just mind-blowing to us. And I mean, here, this chart is showing you, it's actually 2 pictures here for you, but I pulled up some literature from the National Institute of Health and their Library of Medicine called PubMed.gov. And in the background, you'll see one chart here on oxidative stress. And I just want to point out that, I mean, this has been an area of study since the 1960s. But if you look in just the past 10, 15 years, the exponential growth and this rise, this exponential growth in the bar chart shows the numbers of studies published each year.
As a matter of fact, I think they're saying that there's over 1,800 new studies every single month coming out on oxidative stress.
And this one in front is the link between oxidative stress and this NRF2 pathway. And again, just since 1998, you can see the exponential growth in this area of research. So this really highlights for us how important this is really becoming in the scientific and medical communities. Washington State University did a literature review on NRF2 science, and they went on to conclude that we may be on the verge of a new literature of the health effects of NRF2, which may well become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine.
Pretty big deal.
Yeah, huge. They went on to say that it's our opinion that raising NRF2 is likely to be the most important health promoting approach into the foreseeable future. Wow. I mean, that's a huge, huge statement. So what caught Kellie and I attention and what was done on that ABC special report back in 2005 was a review of this product, Protandim NRF2 Synergizer, when they claimed it could reduce oxidative stress by an average of 40% in just 30 days. And that claim is enormous. I mean, when I looked at that and I understood that link between oxidative stress and disease, I simply thought, wow, if this will do half of what they're claiming, I want it. I need it. You need it. Alex, you need it. Our parents needed it. Our kids needed it. So this was the first time we ever actually got behind a product to support it and endorse it because of the science, because of what it was actually doing in our bodies and increasing these really important enzymes like SOD, catalase, glutathione. And they even had a study from the National Institute of Aging that actually showed it was the only dietary supplement to ever extend mean lifespan in the mice they were studying. Now, what's so fascinating is that if you look at the 5 ingredients in it, many people who are still in this supplement realm will look at this and go, well, there's not enough of those to really do anything. And they would be right if this was a supplement, but it's not a supplement. It's an activator. And when you put the right amount of each one of these ingredients together in specifically the right combination, it has a synergistic effect that makes it so much more potent. So,
and I was just gonna, before Arthur moves on, you guys, I was just gonna say, when we kind of like pair back to this field of nutrigenomics, using nutrition and natural all-based plants to affect our genes, if you just look across the bottom, this is what is exciting to us, is these are things that have been used for centuries, Arthur. There's nothing like new. You can take turmeric, milk thistle, green tea, bacopa, ashwagandha. But it's exactly, I want to reiterate and really hit home to you guys, because people ask me all the time, well, Kelly, I'm already taking 2 of those or 3 of those, but this is not the same. Is the small proportion in the exact blend and recipe that actually turns on this NRF2 protein, this NRF2 pathway, what that makes it so effective in the body and allows it to flip the switch. If you're just taking turmeric as a supplement, you're not using it to actually flip your gene expression like we are when you can activate the NRF2 pathway. So it's a different paradigm shift. We're really leaving the supplement, talking about supplements, and we're entering activation, but it's just a new paradigm that people aren't used to hearing yet.
Yeah. And Kelly, I love that you went back and really talked about the precise proportion and ratios of these ingredients. I mean, Alex, I know you have kids. Have you ever done the baking with your kids? Do you ever bake a cake for your mom on her birthday, for their mom on her birthday, for your mom on her birthday too?
Yeah, absolutely.
But, you can take flour and eggs and sugar and water and oil, and if you throw it all in a bowl, does that mean you end up with a cake?
No, definitely not.
Exactly. The proportions of each one are vital to actually end up with a cake in the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's exactly the same thing here. So it's not a question of just more is better. You need the exact right proportion of each one. So the second area we want to talk about in terms of promoting our overall health and wellness is something called your mitochondria. Now, this may be a term that's familiar to a lot of people. Mitochondria are little organelles that live in every single cell in our body, and every cell in our body has thousands, and in some cases, tens of thousands of mitochondria. And they produce about 95% of all of our body's energy. Without our mitochondria, we would literally not be able to function, okay? So it is so important that our mitochondria actually function at their highest possible level. And the reason for this is when our bodies regenerate, because our cells are reproducing all the time, right? We're constantly turning over the cells in our body and creating new cells. For most of our body, when our cells reproduce, we get a brand new, clean, healthy baby cell. Mitochondria are different. When mitochondria reproduce, it's like taking a photocopy of the existing mitochondria. So if the original is kind of blurry and frayed around the edges and a little out of focus and not functioning very well, then the copy is blurred and frayed around the edges and not in focus and not functioning very well. And then when you make a copy of the copy of the copy, that just tends to degrade over time. So getting your mitochondria healthy and robust and as strong as possible is super, super important.
There's a lot of talk today about, diseases related to what people are saying is called mitochondrial dysfunction. And like Arthur was saying, when those poor copies hang around, they become cells in the body that basically are not working for you. And some people, they're called zombie cells, senescent cells, and those cells can truly wreak havoc in our body. And what people are understanding today is, yes, aging in and of itself damages these structures. But everything else we talked about in the beginning, Alex, all those other things of our junk light, the pollutions, the, poor water, toxins, all of this is actually damaging our mitochondria at a rate extremely higher than ever before. And so that's why maybe some of these illnesses we're seeing is at a great, even rate than higher than ever before.
Yeah.
We just didn't have very great strategies to address this mitochondrial dysfunction until today.
Yeah, in fact, some scientists and researchers are going as far as to speculate that the underlying cause of some cancers might actually be the replication errors that occur with the copying of dysfunctional mitochondria. So again, it's just so important that you keep your mitochondria strong and healthy. So how do we do that, right? Again, there's a ton of information, and we just love the simplicity of this, that this company has put together a synergizer for this pathway too. There's a protein pathway called the NRF1 pathway. And when we can turn that on, it actually increases and improves the biogenesis of your mitochondria. It actually helps your body build bigger and stronger and more robust mitochondria, and can help repair dysfunctional mitochondria. So again, we love the simplicity. This is Nutrigenomics at work. It's combinations of, again, just 5 herbs, but in exactly the right proportion. They fit together and flip the switch and turn the production of this pathway on, the activation of this pathway on your body. It's truly incredible.
And people ask me all the time, like, whether we're talking about the first pathway or NRF1 with mitochondrial health, well, what do you feel, Kelly? And honestly, what we can say is what this will do for each and every one of your bodies and how you'll feel, we're not sure, right? It's up to us. We're so unique inside. But what we can say is, you can see on the slide is absolutely you're going to feel like you have more energy and sleep better, cellular repair, better cognitive and brain health. That is going to be amazing. And I think when you're talking about, Alex, wanting to become your best self, those are things that we all want to up our game.
Wow. Let me just jump in and just say, this has been an amazing experience to start to look like I'm working on the inside of me and not just on the outside of me, with food and with exercise and sleep, which we're not trying to talk about getting rid of any of that, but knowing that I'm maximizing the potential for those things to actually make a better version of me. And after I looked into this science, like really, this is stuff I studied back from my days when I started as a personal trainer and nutritionist. It was like I understood bioavailability and how things needed to be with synergistic compounds, but never really thought about how that was going to get in and actually affect my mitochondria, how my cells were duplicating or replicating. And at the time, I don't think we even had the technology to talk about like baking the cake properly, like to actually turn that cell into it, just because you could throw those ingredients, but amazing stuff. So keep going. So now we've got things that work together that can potentiate us. And I also want to make sure people understand how do we get this stuff, because I'm not a product salesperson. If you ever watch any of my Facebook lives, this is the first time ever, I promise, if you go back to the history, that I've ever had anybody come on here and talk about a product, because people know that I have an optimal health and wellness business and a performance coaching business for executives and entrepreneurs. But with what you guys have been doing in this area, I just felt like people needed to know this. So 2 things: keep going with what you're talking about, but also let us know how does someone get a hold of these things and all that.
Absolutely. Both accounts. And Alex, Arthur and I can literally parrot what you just said, because there are a lot of things out there. We also preach about, not only just brain health and gut health and overall, vitality, but we too have never really endorsed something until we came across this. And you're right, it is so big, and the effects we've seen, changes in people's lives, is so loud that we just feel morally obligated to share. So thank you for allowing us to share it with, your friends and family and following as well.
Yeah. And honestly, I think, probably the best way that we can help disseminate information, how people can get it, they could literally just drop a link below, drop a hands up or more info, please. And we can absolutely get back to them and give them specifics about how to find this stuff. But truly for us, it's just about the simplicity of the system and trying to give people a simple, easy starting point for this journey. So the third area that we just want to touch on here about how to really optimize your body's functioning is an area called NAD, and a molecule called NAD. NAD has become a really hot topic recently in the fitness world, the health world, in medicine. It's a vitally important molecule that's actually what they call an electron donor in many of the processes where energy is actually manufactured within your mitochondria, and also for the functioning of a group of proteins called your sirtuins. Sirtuins are a vital group of proteins that are responsible for how the double helix of your DNA will unravel and separate during cellular replication, how they rewind up really nice and tight. They help repair any errors that occur when they're transcribing your DNA, and it keeps your telomeres at the base of those chromosomes healthy and long. And again, I know those are a lot of huge words and really sciencey, but just know overall, NAD is vital for the functioning of your body. In fact, if you had no NAD in your body, you would literally cease to live within about 7 seconds.
And if I could just piggyback you guys, you've probably heard about this, because I think some of the fads in health right now people are hearing are about intermittent fasting or caloric restriction. And ultimately, scientists ask why, because people were getting a tremendous health benefit from it. So scientists wanted to know why. Well, in those functions, that's what they found, is they're actually upregulating NAD in the body. But I think for any of us to completely be on intermittent fasting or caloric restriction for long periods of time is difficult and not the best for us, actually. And so if literally the scientists went to work to find out, well, how can we actually upregulate the pathway to make more NAD? Because there are other products on the market that you can take that's an NAD supplement. But again, we're going back to old school supplementation versus how do you activate your own body, which again becomes so much more powerful.
Yeah. And just what I was going to say, Kelly, is that there are NAD supplements out there on the market today, Alex, but what we're finding is that most of those supplements only elevate NAD levels in your body between 2 and 4%. But actually, by turning on the pathway and activating your body, we've seen that you can raise NAD levels by up to 100% in 24 hours, which is unheard of. The only thing that comes close to that is actually caloric restriction, and that's cutting your calorie intake between 40 and 60%. And I don't know about you, Alex, but that means I'd be living life hangry. I mean, not a pleasant place to be, right? Not comfortable either.
Let me just unmute myself for a second. This is amazing. So what you're talking about on all fronts, I've just heard you duplicate something or triplicate something, and that is that you're not just giving the body the supplement of this, you're actually getting the thing that precursors all that to get your body to do what it actually can do much better than just trying to give it something external, right?
100%.
And that's the difference between activation versus supplementation. And that's why this is a whole new category. You know, it's so funny, Alex, because all we knew growing up were supplements, right? That's all we were ever taught about. This area, I keep saying new, it is this new area of activation. This is new science. This is new information. It's actually making supplementation obsolete.
For the most part.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few other key things that your body probably still needs as building blocks, but overall, again, this is such a simple, incredibly powerful way to optimize that cellular functioning and cellular potential.
You mentioned earlier about, turning on and off genes. I started looking into this, and really what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, that the genes actually have within them all the building blocks to build really good proteins or to build really bad proteins. It's just how do you get them to express themselves? And so this is about gene expression and teaching them to build the good stuff in a better way.
And that's why, again, our kind of the little slogan is flip the switch, feel better, do more. You want to flip the switches to suppress those good genes up and the bad genes down. It's that simple.
All right. Makes sense.
Now, what really became very, very interesting, Alex, is that we know that with each one of these products, there was a synergy amongst the ingredients that made the product much more powerful than the individual ingredients by themselves, right? But what was really interesting is we started realizing that there could be a synergy when you take the three products together. And so let me try to explain this graph you're looking at. This is looking at pairs of genes. And the first pair are genes that are activated by the NRF2 pathway. The second pair are genes that are activated by the NRF1 pathway. And the third pair are genes that are activated by the NAD pathway. Well, if we just look at the first one, the NRF2 genes, the first one's all about your antioxidant detoxification systems. When we just use the protandim NRF2 activator by itself, we saw a 40% increase in the activation of that gene expression. That's huge.
Yeah, it's big.
But when you took all three protandims and activated all three pathways simultaneously, we saw a 78% increase in the activation and expression of that gene. And in the second one here, this is your healthy inflammatory response. Just by activating the NRF2 pathway alone, we saw a 51% improvement in that gene expression. But when you activate all three pathways, that leapt to 848%. I mean, just an incredible difference. And we see this sort of increase in every single level when you versus activating a single pathway or activating all three pathways in your cells at the same time.
And if for anybody that feels a little confused, if I highlight one thing, I think we all realize that the talk of the town for everybody is inflammation these days. And inflammation is the big baddie. It leads to so many diseases that we don't want. So if you just take inflammation alone and realize that all three together can help your own body fight that by 848%, it's kind of like, where do I get it and how fast? That's a no-brainer.
So truly, this is the power, you said, Alex, of activation. You know, it is getting your body working as it was intended. I always say our bodies are miraculous, right? This is the miracle. Activators like this just help the miracle work the way it's supposed to.
Wow. Amen on that. You know, as we, like I said before to the audience, and I just want to let you all know, you guys know me. I look to bring on the best people when we talk. I look to do the research. I like to be the experiment myself. I've been experimenting with you guys in this for the last 6-7 months. It's been phenomenal. As I've now started educating myself at another level because of understanding this, it's about us taking the responsibility and becoming the CEO of our own health and our own life. And it's not to say that we're negating anything your doctor is saying. I just want to be clear on that. You need to listen to that. You know, you've got a couple of doctors here, but you've got your own doctor and those various things. And what we're talking about is the area of understanding, and this is not just exclusive to this interview. We are starting to understand that our genes have the building blocks to make really good, healthy cells and proteins already built within them, or to make really bad stuff and unhealthy, degraded cells. And what we're doing now by this, in summary, is what I'm getting here is that we can activate and get our genes to do what they were meant to do to help us thrive and live at another level. And you said something earlier, for those who logged on, we've had more and more people logging on now. I think like literally 10 in the last like 15, 20 minutes that didn't catch the beginning. And that beginning piece, you can all watch this. I've got it recorded. You can go back and watch from the beginning. But you were saying something about how, with food, you got to eat healthy food. You're talking about supplements. Can you just say that again about what the difference is here and how this adds another level?
Absolutely, Alex, absolutely. So as Kelly and I were talking about, unfortunately, our foods today just don't have the nutritional value that they had 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Mm-hmm. And we thought that we could improve our nutritional value in our foods by adding supplements. Mm-hmm. But even our supplements work on a very, very basic level. Mm-hmm. And it's just providing more building blocks to your body. It's not actually turning on your gene expression.
I always like to just say, right, that your traditional food and antioxidants kind of fight one good guy versus one bad guy, right? The healthy food and supplement is the good guy, and we have free radical damage or our bad guys, and that reaction is just done. But truly, our bodies today are being bombarded with more damage than other from our life in general, not only just the foods, but everything in the world. And so, yes, Arthur, this activation is amazing.
Yeah. So when you can actually flip the switches, turn up that gene expression so your body does all of the functions it's supposed to be healthy, to optimize its abilities, Now, instead of fighting those baddies 1-to-1, you can get rid of 1,000,000 per second every second. You can upregulate how your body's functioning so much higher, as you can see right here on this chart.
Yeah, and one of the things that, as a purist, this is like, I'm going back to in the day, I've been in the fitness and health industry for 27 years now. Oh my goodness, I'm getting older. And I've owned health clubs and training studios, and I've hired doctors for my staff. I've hired nutritionists, all these various areas. One of our biggest problems that we had was getting people to stick with the nutrition plan. And what I'm hearing here is this, that even if I gave them the perfect nutrition plan, and even if they could stick to it, which we don't, right? It still wouldn't have the ability to express and do the work when we actually have activators involved. And so now let's get to the reality. No one's going to stick to a perfect eating plan anyway, but our body actually has the goods inside it to do, if you can just let it do what it's supposed to do, even with limited resources.
That's right.
Okay.
Right. We just have a few more things, Alex, that we just wanted to share. So the company itself was founded on activation, and just like you saw in those 3 products. So they took the same technology and put it into a small other product line. And we're not going to go heavy into any of this, but I just want you guys to understand is that, again, food is information of what you're putting in. Today, one of the latest hot topics is about nootropics, executive functioning drinks. People want to, really turn on their brain to have more focus, concentration, clarity. And so there's NRF2 activation for the brain, healthy brain food. I mean, talk about L-theanine, DMAE, Monterey pine bark, quercetin. These are ingredients that can be a game changer for your brain health. And so this is one other thing that it's portable on the go that you can add into your routine that's completely healthy to give your brain that next level up. And I'm going to just show you one quick example. Now, this is from a little boy, okay, not obviously somebody our age, but I just want you to understand the brain function that's happening. On the left side, this is his handwriting. And so this little boy, believe it or not, has ADHD. And you can just see it's a little disorganized. His letters aren't the same shape and size and is kind of all over the page. The right side is the same little boy 2 weeks later with his brain and cells activated with NRF2. So if you look at what his brain function is doing of clarity, neatness, organization, focus, if that's happening with his schoolwork, imagine what's going on in the rest of his life. And that's what I love is this isn't for one facet of your life. We live life in everything we do. This will happen in every facet of your life when you can upregulate your body's NRF2 activation. And then the last, and you spoke to this in the very beginning, is truly, not only just rebalancing the gut, rebalancing your immune system, but you guys, if you have not been listening to the whole field of the microbiome today, I'm not sure why you haven't, but it's kind of everywhere. But this is what I just want to say about just a couple important factors of our microbiome. I think you guys have probably heard or are aware that we need to be having a probiotic in our body to get that good bacteria in the gut so it can do its job. Your gut communicates to your brain, that gut communicates to your heart, the gut communicates and makes us have a healthy immune system and immune response. But most things on the market today, by the time you actually take the product, they're being destroyed with the process of digestion along the way. And your gut really isn't getting that good nutrition. So the company recognized that and said, okay, we want to be able to get that to the gut because we know how important that is. So they patented a special coating called BioTrack, and it allows the probiotic to pass through the stomach, make sure it's not destroyed by the acids in that process of digestion. And actually each layer of it gets degraded into your small and large intestine. So each specific probiotic actually goes exactly where it's intended to go. It's not kind of just like throw it in and hopefully it gets there. No, literally there's clinical science proven when you look at this BioTrack that it helps it to get where it belongs. And the second part of this product, which Arthur and I just love, is they added another product inside of it called Wellmune, which is an immune booster. And basically it's a beta glucan, and it helps the good bacteria grow and it helps the bad bacteria not grow to help your immune system truly thrive. And the other thing, Arthur, I don't know if we have a picture of or not, is the prebiotic.
No, I don't think we do. Right.
And so I just want to mention this is that, let me give you a quick analogy, everybody. When you plant a garden and you're putting the seeds in the soil for the first time, what do you need to do to the soil? We need to put nutrients to the soil, right? And we need to get rid of the weeds in the soil because the weeds will just overgrow your good flowers. And so having a prebiotic to both give the food to fuel your probiotic and also a prebiotic that gets rid of the weeds, meaning it's getting rid of the bad junky bacteria that kind of can overgrowth and therefore doesn't allow for the good bacteria to flourish, is essential. So yes, there are drinks out there that a lot of people are seeing, but we would just highly recommend the pre and probiotic to give you the most optimal gut health, because again, we want the absorption of the Synergizer Protandim products to get the full effect and be absorbed maximally. And if you can have the healthiest gut possible, it's going to give you, kind of like get you back on your A game. And you added that in. Holy cow. I'm so sorry, you guys. So yes, that was a pre and probiotic. We're not going to take time to go into an omega. I hope you guys either have an omega on board, or if you don't, you're going to ask questions, because again, this is to help every single cell in your body. It's the cellular integrity of that structure that your omega is going to keep, and it's going to help you support your cognitive, heart, and skin health. And then you guys, to end, truly, I know Alex was saying, hey, like, how do you get this stuff? Or if you have more questions or things like that. So I'll just kind of give a synopsis on that, Alex, and I'm going to punt it back to you. Is yes, please ask for more information. Ask how you can order this. Down here in the notes, you can certainly ask in the chat. April, who you got the invitation through, you can reach back out to April to say, can you please send us a link to either learn more or order product? And we're happy to get that all out to you guys. And all I would say is, I use the same slogan that Alex just said, is truly, we help teach people to become the CEO of their own health and their own life. We all just need to know all the information out there, and you can make the best educated decision for you and your health. But it's our job to provide that education, to start getting it out to people, because there is so much today and it's difficult to sift and sort. So if we can come to you, and thank you, Alex, for wanting your audience to learn and to know, because if somebody didn't share this with us, we wouldn't know either. And it's honestly changed the game of our family's health and many of our patients' health as well.
And I think, Kelly, why we were feeling so confident about getting behind this product line is because it's just a very simple, beautiful system and a great way to start.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to say, wow. And thank you so much for just stepping into our world. And this is really for the audience. I want to share something with you. Products, processes, all of those things are to serve the purpose for people. And when you think about our lives together, it is about mixing it up. It is about being educated, but it's really about being able to do life with one another and thrive and enjoy that. So if we're going to be here, might as well be here in our best self. And when you've got someone like Arthur and Kelly who takes the time out of their day, puts themselves out and be vulnerable, in their profession to say, hey, we care about people. I just want to say, do business with those people. You could probably go online and try and find it or whatever yourself. You're not going to get a better pricing structure than ordering through somebody who like this, that is sharing it with you at the same time. They are the ones who took the time to educate. So when you get to that point where you're saying, I want to see and experience this further, do business with the people that you start to know. Like, don't just go onto some computer and purchase it. And this is not about what I'm going to say right here. This is not just about this product line that you heard here. It's about anything. I just want to encourage, this is my little rant for a moment. Keep it close. I'm not saying you can't order online or go somewhere else, but if you have the opportunity to do business with your friends and your family, do it. Do it. This is not the days of old when we were doing things and feeling yucky and bad about it anymore. This is the time where we need to take care of each other. It's like back in the time when I had chickens, you had goats, and so grew that thing and whatever. And we had that little house on the prairie community. Some of you guys don't know what the heck I'm talking about.
I love this. This is awesome.
Little house on the prairie. But we are a self-sustaining community, and none of us are individuals like we think we are individuals. We are connected. Yes, you are your own unique person, but you matter to me, and I matter to you, and Arthur and Kelly, you matter to us. And so I just want to say thank you from all of us that you've given us your time, your talent, and your years to get to this point, to be able to find these things so we can save some time. So you biohacked our life here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Thanks,
Appreciate
everybody.
it. Thanks to everyone for giving us the time to talk to you today.
Oh, so good. Another level you, everybody.